it is a legitimate serious concern. Absolutely.
It's being called Trang, the zombie drug. No matter the name, doctors are considering it lethal. A rise in deadly overdoses is now being linked to xylazine, which is being laced with opioids such as fentanyl. We spoke with Dr. Nora Volkov, a director at the National Institute of Drug Abuse, about this toxic combination.
So it is a very serious pattern that we're observing throughout the United States. I mean, drug combinations that are just so very toxic and lethal, like this one. So we need to take it very seriously.
Xylazine is approved by the FDA for use by veterinarians to sedate large animals, such as deer and horses. However, for people, it has severe side effects. Dr. Susan Sherman, a professor at Johns Hopkins University, has been interviewing people in Baltimore who have overdosed to try and learn more about xylazine.
Decreased feeling of pain, sedation, muscle relaxation, your heart rate goes down. People feel like, we've been told in some interviews, that they feel drunk, they can't walk.
Xylazine will also slow your breathing and blood pressure. Dr. Volkov explains why this is so dangerous mixed with opioids.
Actually, we use opioids in anesthesia to enhance the anesthetic effects of drugs. So you can understand then, if you're combining fentanyl with xylazine, it's not surprising that when people take it, they can get very, very sedative. And they also, that combination can reduce the blood pressure, which can actually exacerbate the problems that fentanyl by itself does.
These side effects are how xylazine gets its street name, Trang. It has also been coined zombie drug because when injected, xylazine can cause people to develop patches of dead, rotting skin.
Wounds are actually one of the biggest negative outcomes associated with xylazine. People can have wounds not just at the site of injection. So it used to be people would inject drugs, they'd inject and there'd be bacteria there. Like if you inject on an unclean surface, you would have a wound at the site of injection. But because of the nature of xylazine and causing vasoconstriction on the skin, people have gaping wounds in all over their different parts of their body. So that's one of the most harmful effects.
These severe skin wounds easily become infected and, if left untreated, may lead to amputation. Dr. Sherman told us how isolation may lead people to become dependent on these drugs.
Someone actually said in one of our interviews, because we're interviewing people about wounds and xylazine and seeing what their knowledge is, that xylazine and fentanyl felt like a warm hug. And that's so profound because we all want hugs, and we all, I think part of drug use, and we know that it kind of addresses this issue of people feeling lonely and isolated in the world.
The xylazine fentanyl mixture doesn't respond to Narcan the way normal opioids do, making those who overdose more likely to have lethal repercussions.
You are combining two very different mechanisms of action between the opioid, fentanyl, and adrenergic, xylazine, that actually just create a tsunami reaction. They come together and escalate the severity and the dangers that the person has. And naloxone will be able to reverse the effects just from the opioid drug, from fentanyl, but it will not do anything for the xylazine effects. It won't touch it.
The National Institute on Drug Abuse has reported xylazine is linked to an increasing number of overdose deaths nationwide. Due to the increased deaths, the FDA is taking action to restrict it from being imported into the United States. We asked Dr. Volkov if this is enough.
Restricting access to xylazine will make it harder for drug dealers to sell this product. And so it will be helpful, but it will not be sufficient.
The DEA released a report saying that illicit xylazine is coming over from China. We know many fake prescription pills laced with fentanyl come from Mexico, but it's unclear where the xylazine is getting mixed with fentanyl.
It's a homicide and it's a war. They're trying to kill off our children.
Washington Examiner sat down with Rebecca Kiesling, who gave testimony to Congress about how she lost her own 2 children to opioids.
Now, my boys didn't ask for fentanyl. Nobody's demanding fentanyl.
She told us her take on the new drugs combination's fatal effects.
Just look at the rainbow fentanyl. Just look at, where it looks like candy and they're putting it in candy boxes. And now they're adding horse tranquilizer. They can't be saved with Narcan. I mean, is there any question they're trying to kill off our people? It's a war.
Dr. Volkoff says we need to take this new factor in the drug epidemic seriously if we want to prevent widespread deaths.
And the more we find these drug combinations, that more challenging it is clinically, on the one hand, to reverse overdoses, to treat the opioid use disorder, and also to treat all of the complications that are emerging.
But she also said the language we use is just as important.
And I hope that we don't start to call people that are combining them the zombies, because I think we really need to fight stigmatizing language. We're already very much discriminated, and we need to do everything we can to actually be respectful to them. And because that is crucial in order to bring them forward on the first steps to them wanting to seek treatment, to be part of our societies.
I'm Amy DeLaura for Washington Examiner.